And I will try the shepherd's pie. I'll try a bite with mostly just the meat. Honestly, what is contributing to the dish, the meat, and the shepherd's pie is just texture. I can't really identify a flavor against all the other ingredients. If I had to assign a flavor to it, I would say meatball, which is classically a meat. Yes. Historically. So,
Duh.
There you go.
Good. That ball of meat tastes like that a little bit.
Now, the potatoes are potatoes, or are they fake potatoes?
They are real vegan potato.
They're
Not a potato like
they're
substance.
vegan potatoes as opposed to regular potatoes.
They were grass-fed.
Ooh.
Free range.
Mm.
Welcome to Eat Your Greens with Dr. Black, where we discuss plant-based nutrition for the whole family. This podcast is all about supporting families in their efforts to give their children a solid foundation of healthy eating habits that will last a lifetime. I'm your host, Dr. Angela Black. I'm a board-certified pediatrician with over 20 years of experience. Over the course of my career, I've witnessed the rise of issues like high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, and even fatty liver disease in kids as young as 10. I'm passionate about using evidence-based guidelines to teach my patients and their parents how to prevent chronic diseases for a lifetime of health. I hope you find this podcast to be informative and empowering. For more episodes, or if you would like more information about child nutrition and feeding, please visit www.eatgreenswithdrblack.com. Welcome to episode 17 of the Eat Your Greens with Dr. Black podcast. This is part 2 of a 3-part series aiming to provide my listeners with valuable insights to aid them in their transition from a standard Western diet to a plant-based lifestyle. In part 1, my colleague Dr. Miller and I discussed a few helpful tips to get you started introducing more whole plant-based foods to your diet. Today, I'm joined by a very special guest, none other than my talented sister, Wendy, who brings her expertise from Le Cordon Bleu College of Culinary Arts to the show. Together, Wendy and I took over my kitchen to explore the world of plant-based meat alternatives. We sampled some of the most popular plant-based options on the market, from vegan breakfast sausage to Impossible and Beyond burgers, and even vegan pepperoni pizza topped with creamy Miyoko's pourable mozzarella cheese. And because no meal is complete without dessert, we couldn't resist trying out a few dairy-free ice creams as well. Throughout the episode, Wendy and I engage in a lively discussion about how these alternatives stack up against their traditional animal-based counterparts in terms of appearance, texture, and flavor to help our listeners gauge the authenticity of these plant-based options. We also discuss a few other essential factors such as cost and nutritional content, aiming to provide you with the information needed to make informed decisions in your quest for a more plant-centric diet. Come along with us as we embark on this flavorful journey, exploring the delicious possibilities of plant-based eating while having a whole lot of fun on the way. So let's dig in and discover what the new plant-based meat alternatives have to offer. Please be aware that this podcast provides general health information about nutrition and feeding of infants and children and is meant for educational purposes only. It's not intended to replace the important relationship between a parent, child, and pediatrician. If you have concerns about your child's nutrition, health, or growth, please consult your doctor. I'm excited because I'm joined by my sister, Wendy. Wendy has a background in chemistry and culinary arts, making her the perfect guest for this episode. And I really hope to have her join me in the future as we do similar episodes exploring different plant-based foods, how to prepare them, the best ways to bring out the most flavor and texture. Wendy is a graduate of the Texas Culinary Academy Le Cordon Bleu program. She was also a laboratory technician in the Air Force and in the civilian sector. So, Wendy, thank you for joining me today. Do you want to tell me a little bit more about your experiences, both as a chef and as a lab tech?
I'm excited to do this with you. I was in the Air Force as a laboratory technician for 11 years and then worked in the civilian sector. Then I had my first child and decided to go to culinary school. I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's all chemistry in one form or another. Worked as a pastry chef specifically for a while until my second son was born, and then have been a stay-at-home mom and a stay-at-home chef since then.
But you raised and fed 2 boys.
Yeah.
That's a huge accomplishment in and of itself.
Thank you. Yes. And just like yours, I have one that is a picky eater still to this day, and one that is more adventurous with his diet. So yeah, it's tough to get the kids to eat the vegetables when they're younger, definitely.
Even a trained chef has trouble getting their kids to eat their vegetables.
Yes.
Of course, you worked as a pastry chef mostly, which was probably easier to get them to eat that.
But my second favorite class in culinary school was actually the vegetable and sauces portion, which really surprised me because I thought it was going to be the meats and things like that. But it definitely expanded my appreciation for vegetables.
Now, my listeners know how passionate I am about the health benefits of whole food, plant-based eating. And so, of course, my family has been subjected to my efforts to get everyone on the same page and to convert everyone over to a healthier way of eating. Not that your way of eating is not healthy, but we could all work on it. And so I really have been working with Wendy to help her learn more about plant-based options and, cut out some of the processed foods and meat and dairy that I know will be a detriment to your health.
Yes, I do have health issues also that you've been working with me to help reduce the inflammation with my rheumatoid arthritis. And I have definitely seen an improvement in those issues.
I'm so happy to hear it.
One of the main reasons to try a plant-based diet was in my military career, working on base in the lab, we had to do quality control on the ground meat in the grocery store on base. And that was really gross. It's like everybody in the microbiology department, when we would do that, would be off of meat for at least a week, after doing that, because the amount of allowable bacteria in ground meat, in pork chops, and things like that they're allowed to sell. It's still good. It passed the test. But looking at that plate with bacteria growing on it is just gross. It will turn you off. And
you knew what you were eating.
Yes, exactly. It's like I know that the commercial grocery stores had the same thing, and they might have even been higher than what the military allowed. And I still ate it, but now looking back on it, I'm like, ew, yeah,
But I'll bet you cooked the heck out of it.
Oh, yes. That was definitely one fundamental belief that I have that was very hard to overcome when I was in culinary school, was serving things rare, medium rare, steak tartare. Oh, yeah, no, no, thank you. I'm not trying that. All of my steaks and all of my things are well done, which I know people are rolling over in their grave. But, sorry, I've seen both sides of that issue, and I'm cooking it. I'm cooking it till I can't cook it no more. And now I'm trying to do away with it. So
right, altogether.
Yeah,
exactly. One of the points I often make to my patients when we talk about healthier eating is that it's fine if they want to be vegan and they want support. I'm happy to do that. But it's not about going 100% all the way. It's about what you do on a routine basis, for the most part.
Right.
So any movement you can make in that direction towards incorporating more whole plant-based foods into your diet, you're going to gain the benefits from it.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that this series of episodes about transitioning to a plant-based diet, how to include more plant-based foods and exploring the options out there will really help people to do that.
Yes.
So we're going to try a variety of meat alternatives. So products that are made to really resemble the texture and flavor of meat and to be used in place of traditional meat options. We're starting off with a few things. I did make a tofu scramble, so it's meant to be like scrambled eggs. And then with it, I have the Gardein brand breakfast sausage patty in the original flavor, not spicy.
What did you put in the tofu?
Oh, to make the tofu, I sauteed some onion and jalapeno, and then you just kind of crumble and brown the tofu. And there's a spice blend that had cumin, chili powder, a little turmeric to give it a yellow, eggy color, and some garlic powder and salt.
It does look very much like scrambled eggs.
We're also trying some non-breakfast items. I have a buffalo chicken flavored tempeh, and I bought seitan. Seitan, spelled Seitan, is a vegan Asian protein with a long history. It was actually used back in China and Japan hundreds of years ago for the Buddhists who did not eat meat. So it's not a new product, although it's very new to the West. And it's basically wheat gluten. So the protein from wheat is gluten, and you extract it and you get kind of a meat-like textured protein with a very bland flavor that you then add a sauce to, and it takes on the flavor of the sauce. I have seen recipes for seitan short ribs. The product that's available in our local store is just a crumble, so I couldn't get it in a short rib shape, but I basically added some barbecue sauce and put it in the air fryer until the sauce was sticky. So the idea here is that we've got kind of like a beef barbecue alternative.
You said when you were making it that you would put it on a bun and have it be like a sloppy joe, and it does. Yes. It would look very much like a sloppy joe.
It does, and I think with the sauce it's going to taste great. All right, we're going to dig in. What are you going to try first?
I want the tofu first.
All right, let's try the tofu first.
Definitely an egg consistency, mouthfeel. Yes.
You can make really nice vegan migas. You know, migas is a Tex-Mex breakfast where you have like a scrambled egg cooked with some peppers and onions. There's usually like some black beans, maybe some pico de gallo.
Mm-hmm.
And then they top it with some fried corn tortilla strips and maybe some shredded cheese. So you can use this tofu to make a really nice vegan migas.
Mm-hmm. So this would be perfect in a breakfast taco.
Yeah, good point. All right, let's move on to the sausage.
Okay.
I have my doubts about this one.
I've had other brands just eaten with biscuits. So we'll see how this compares to the other brand.
I'm actually pleasantly surprised.
I like this one better than the other brand. It has like the sausage patty. You want it to be a little bit crispy, on the outer edges, but chewy on the inside. And this has it. Yeah.
And the seasoning
Mm-hmm.
is pretty good.
Yeah. This is very similar to Jimmy Dean.
Speaking of Jimmy Dean, I did do a little bit of research to compare things like saturated fat. None of this is health food, so I'm not comparing it based on a nutrition point of view, right? I'm going to say this probably a few times in this episode. These are all processed foods.
It's still sausage.
It's still
it's a sausage replacement.
And I've said this on previous episodes. Vegans who eat a junk food or a processed food diet do not have healthier outcomes. But if you just want a breakfast sausage, you just need that texture.
You need to satisfy a craving.
There you go.
Yeah.
You've got it. So I just looked at saturated fat content because I think that's one of the main reasons why many of these vegan foods are still unhealthy. They can be high in saturated fat because they use coconut oil as the fat. Coconut oil is a saturated fat, which means it's solid at room temperature. So when you use it in cooking and baking, you're going to get that same mouthfeel as butter or lard, animal fat, compared to, say, a liquid olive oil or canola. You're not going to have the same result in baking. You wouldn't be able to talk about that more the differences in a liquid oil versus a solid fat and the results that you get in baking.
Right. Yeah.
So I compared the vegan product to a comparable animal-based product just to see what the differences are. If you listened to my food label episode that I did with May, you'll recall that the first 3 ingredients on the ingredient list are going to be mostly what you're getting in your food. So for the Gardein breakfast sausage, the top 3 ingredients were texturized wheat gluten. So it's not a soy protein. It's a wheat gluten like the seitan, coconut oil, and pea protein. And the serving size was 2 patties, which is 70 grams. And that had 5 grams of saturated fat. The Jimmy Dean Heat and Serve frozen breakfast patties had pork, mechanically separated turkey, and water as the top 3 ingredients. Yeah, mechanically separated turkey.
Yeah.
And 2 patties was 52 grams. So the patties are smaller, and it had 7 grams of fat. So you're getting 7 grams of saturated fat for 52 grams versus 5 for 70 grams. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then the other big difference, I think one of the main limiting factors for people to eat these foods is the cost.
Mm-hmm.
Across the board, the vegan meat alternatives are going to be more expensive.
Right.
The package of Jimmy Dean Heat and Serve breakfast sausage was $6.75 for 26 patties. The Gardein was $4.56 for 6 patties. So you're paying a lot more for a little bit less saturated fat. All right, let's move on. You want to try the tempeh next?
Sure.
So tempeh is a fermented soybean product. And this one has buffalo flavor. I really think I should have bought a jar of buffalo sauce because my first reaction just looking at this is it's dry. It doesn't have sauce. It's flavored. It's not saucy.
Right.
If I'm thinking of a buffalo wing alternative, I want sauce.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, suggest next time make a sauce.
Well, you can make a sauce because you're a chef. I'll buy a jar.
Well, yes. No.
No, I agree.
No, I admit that it's cooled off.
Right.
We, made them and then started recording, so it's cooled off a bit, but so maybe it would be a
dry.
little bit better if it was fresh out of the, but you did these in the air fryer?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that might be one thing. Maybe we could do it in the pan rather than in the air fryer. And then again, the sauce would help it. But yeah, the consistency is
Tempeh is a hard one because if you look at a block of tempeh, you see whole soybeans.
mm-hmm.
They've been fermented and then pressed together into this rectangle shape. And so the texture is a little dry to begin with. The only thing I've used tempeh for so far is I did come across a recipe for tempeh bacon that I tried. I also did not care for it, but I don't know if it was the recipe or my lack of experience or what. But I've had tempeh bacon at a restaurant that was pretty good. Anyways, yeah, I'll have to keep exploring tempeh because it's quite healthy. Fermented foods are very healthy.
And maybe if you like a lot of fermented foods. So yeah, that's not in my flavor palette.
I think it is an acquired taste. All right, let's move on to the barbecue seitan. This is the one I'm kind of the most excited about.
This is definitely one of those things like tofu that what sauce and what seasoning you use will change the entire dish.
I think it has very little flavor of its own.
So a lot like tofu.
Right. I kind of like the chewiness because it seems like if I was eating like a spare rib, like you're going to chew the meat.
Yeah.
It seems to have a very similar texture to me. Not exact, but pretty good.
Yeah, it's kind of like a little bit more of a ground meat, at least the way we have it right now. Like you said, definitely sloppy Joe contender.
We have 3 different types of burger, and we made a shepherd's pie with your recipe.
Yes.
Using Gardein brand ground beef crumbles.
Yes.
Tell us about the 3 burgers that we have.
Okay, the first one we have is the Impossible Burger. It was raw. It was very red and not appetizing looking. I mentioned to Angela that I wasn't sure about whether or not, if you were cooking it on a true barbecue open flame, if they would hold up. We cooked all 3 of these burgers on the stove in a skillet.
Because I don't own a barbecue pit.
Yes. And because it was easier. But now after they are cooked, I think they probably would. But raw, they looked
like they would fall apart.
Yeah.
They were kind of more wet looking than raw meat.
Yeah, like very, very ground meat. So it was
finely ground.
Yeah. So it was like kind of.
They both had white flecks, which was the fat that was meant to mimic the marbling, that you would get in the ground beef, the animal fat.
Yes. So that's the Impossible and the Beyond, how they visually looked raw.
I commented when they looked raw that they both looked like some form of canned dog or cat food.
Yes.
I mean, they really didn't look that appealing raw, and kind of ground beef-like, but kind of gross too.
Exactly. Yeah.
But cooked, they look like cooked ground beef.
Yes.
I was actually surprised after they cooked how appetizing and meat-like they look.
Yes. Especially the Beyond burger, because I even commented after I flipped it, it started to bleed. Look, some of the juices were coming up and out of it. We read the ingredients and it has like beet juice. So yeah, and it bubbled up out of it like a burger would when you're in the middle of cooking it.
Right.
Bleed a little bit.
So the other one that we have is a Dr. Prager's All-American Drive-Thru Burger. Now, Dr. Prager's is known for making veggie burgers, but they are not meat-like veggie burgers. They're not meant to be fake meat. They have like a quinoa and black bean. They have a traditional just vegetable-based burger. They have a
sweet
potato version. So this one is their brand, but the picture on the box looks like a meat burger.
It looks like a hockey puck.
Yeah, frozen, it didn't look. It was the least meat-like of the 3.
Yeah. So
it's also half the size.
Yes.
The two, the Impossible and the Beyond, are both 4-ounce or quarter-pound patties. And this Dr. Prager's drive-thru burger is a 2-ounce patty. So like it's a Happy Meal little kid patty.
Yeah.
All right, let's give it a try. Which one are you trying first?
I've just picked up the Beyond.
Okay, we'll go for Beyond first. Let's take a bite.
Now, I did want to mention, if I do these again, I would like to try it with buying the ground meat and then making them myself, mixing in like an egg substitute, because when I make regular meat burgers, I'll do an egg with breadcrumbs, salt, pepper, garlic, things like that. These, all we did was salt. Well, actually, we didn't do anything. We
forgot.
We
were going to put salt and pepper on them, but we forgot. So we just cooked them in the pan.
Yeah.
Now, I do taste, though, like that barbecued grilled flavor where it browned on the outside.
Mm-hmm. And it has the crispy texture that you would get on the outside of a burger.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I was having a backyard barbecue and I really wanted a burger, this would be okay.
Yeah. It does not taste strongly of vegetables or mushroom or anything. Yeah. So
that's the Beyond. And let me just look at my little list here. The protein source is a pea protein. The first 4 ingredients are water, pea protein, canola oil, and coconut oil. And per quarter-pound patty, it has 6 grams of saturated fat and 2 grams of fiber. Now, the next one we're going to try is the Impossible Burger. It's made with soy protein instead of pea protein. But otherwise, the first 4 ingredients are the same: water, soy protein, sunflower oil, and coconut oil. So they both start with water, they have their protein, and then they have a plant-based oil and coconut oil. The Impossible Burger has also 6 grams of fat per quarter-pound patty, and it actually has 5 grams of fiber. That's a lot of fiber for a burger. Now, remember, as all of my listeners know very well by now, fiber only comes from plants. So if you're comparing this to a beef burger, 0 fiber. So the fact that it has any fiber at all is great.
5 grams of fiber per patty. That's actually a decent amount.
And
I'm
which one
impressed.
is that again? I'm
That's
sorry.
the Impossible. That's the one we're about to try.
Has more fiber. Okay.
What do you think?
It's good too. Yeah. I like both of these. I'm tasting a little bit more vegetable-y in this one. But yeah, I would eat this at a barbecue.
I mean, looking at it, it looks like a ground beef patty cooked, If somebody just showed this to me and asked me if it was real or not, I wouldn't be able to say.
Mm-hmm. Now for the Dr.
Prager's. So the Dr. Prager's is still more plant-based than these other two. So it also has pea protein like the Beyond Burger, but its first 3 ingredients are pea protein, avocado oil, and then veggie puree. So this is like Dr. Prager's answer to Beyond and Impossible, but I think they're still going for veggie burger more than fake meat burger. So it only has 1.5 grams of saturated fat per patty. Now, again, it's half the size. So if we were comparing it gram per gram, it would be 3 grams of fat for the same amount of Impossible or Beyond. So half the saturated fat. And it only has 2 grams of fiber. So the Impossible Burger beat out Dr. Prager's for fiber, even though it has veggie puree.
Yeah.
Let's try it. I can't really taste it because it's so small.
Yeah.
It's so thin.
I'm not getting much from it. Let me taste just the meat.
The rest of the burger part is drowning it out.
It doesn't have a very strong flavor.
It has almost no flavor.
But yes, definitely as far as you're doing a neighborhood cookout or something like that, and you want something that doesn't scream veggie burger, like I said, I would serve definitely the Beyond and the Impossible. I would cook those at a burger cookout. Yeah.
So let's talk cost. As we said before, you're going to pay more. So I looked at the H-E-B pre-made beef burger patties. So I wanted to compare apples to apples, right? We both pre-made patties. All of the H-E-B patties were a 1/3 pound, and it ranged from around $7 to a little over $9 per 4-pack. Now, these were all lean. I didn't see any burger patties that weren't labeled as lean. They ranged from 80% lean to 90% lean. The 80% lean had 12 grams of fat per patty, so it's twice as much fat. The 90% lean had the same amount of fat, 6 grams per patty. And I keep saying fat, but I mean saturated fat specifically.
Right.
So the price for the Impossible Burger was $7.25 for that 2 patties, and the Beyond was $5 for the 2 patties.
That's a lot.
Yeah, so if we do it per pound, if you just want to compare per pound, the Impossible is the most expensive at $14.50 per pound. Beyond came out at $10 per pound, and the H-E-B beef patties ranged from $5.30 to $7 per pound. So you're definitely paying more.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm not advocating that people buy this in bulk and eat lots of them because it's still processed food.
Right.
All right. So we're tasting which I think this is going to be my favorite dish, is Chef Wendy's
Shepherd's pie.
Shepherd's pie.
So all I did was saute onions, and then threw in the Gardein crumbles.
They're already pre-cooked and frozen.
It's already brown, so it didn't need to be cooked down as long. All of these products cooked much faster than a real meat. I bought a frozen vegetable mix that has the corn, carrots, peas, and green beans. I put garlic powder, salt, and pepper, and then a can of Campbell's tomato soup. We made mashed potatoes separately, just boil the potatoes. I put a little bit of the almond milk that Angela had, and then the vegan butter in the potatoes, mashed them up, put it on top. So I like traditional shepherd's pie.
We'll make up a recipe, and I can put it on the website and put a link to it in my show notes. Yeah, I mean, it looks like ground beef with vegetables with a mashed potato topping. Yeah, I think it's great. I could see serving this for guests, company, Sunday dinner.
Yeah.
The in-laws. Don't tell them. Invite the in-laws over and don't tell them. They'll never know.
But you mean in-laws, our father, who complains about tofu It's got tofu.
every time. I said that on the very first episode when I was talking to either Dr. Miller or Dr. Hartman. How
Mm-hmm.
much he complains every time I make something with tofu, and then he eats every bite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Gotta
Hi,
have
Dad.
something.
If you're listening to this, we love you.
So far, I think this has been surprisingly much better than I had expected. I did not. I mean, we've only had one that we were both like, no, do
Yeah,
not like
tempeh.
this. This is
I'm gonna work on it. I'm determined to find a tempeh recipe that I like.
yes, just that method of preparing it was a big fat no. But everything else, I would make again.
It's awesome.
You know, yeah.
Hooray. I'm having a lot of fun.
Mhm.
This is so much fun.
This is a fun day.
All right, we have pepperoni pizza, and I'm just going to say right off the bat, I bought the wrong crust. I bought this super thin whole wheat crust that's anyways, we're not judging the crust today because this is about meat replacements.
And
We're
we
not-
wanted to try the cheese.
Right, we both kind of learned about this Miyoko Creamery liquid mozzarella when we watched the Netflix documentary
Twins. You are what you eat. A twins study.
You
Yeah.
are what you eat, the twin study. This Miyoko plant-based cheese company was featured prominently in the series.
Yeah.
Kind of made me wonder if they were a sponsor or why they picked that company over some of the other plant-based cheese companies. But that one was the one that was featured. And they have this mozzarella cheese that's a liquid that you pour. And they did that because they wanted something that really melted.
Yeah, like when you pick up the commercial style, you pick up the piece and it stretches.
Sarah
and,
calls
yeah.
those cheese noodles.
cheese noodle. Yeah,
It makes cheese noodles.
that's what
Yeah,
they.
with the strings. So the problem is that when they make a solid block of cheese that you could say shred, it looks like
Mhm.
a block of mozzarella cheese, the plant-based cheeses don't melt. And they wanted to solve that and have a cheese that really melted like cheese. And so by making it not solid, by making it pourable, that's how they overcame that. So we wanted to try that. And we also bought the Field Roast brand vegan pepperoni to make pepperoni pizza. So that's what we're trying.
Visually, it looks like the mozzarella cheese on a pizza. It has melted. I mean, it looked melted to begin with because we poured it on, but
It looked like we poured heavy whipping cream on the pizza.
Yeah.
It was liquid.
right. And it has solidified a little bit more. And so it does look like melted cheese.
It feels like melted cheese.
Yeah.
It feels like pizza cheese.
Touching
it's
it,
a
yeah.
cheesy, bouncy, oily, looks like cooked mozzarella to me.
Now, when I cut it and picked up the thing, we did not get the stretchy. It did cut.
We didn't get cheese noodles.
Did not get cheese noodles. And the pepperoni did not crisp up like I like it. I like crispy pepperoni. Now, let's taste.
Let's taste it.
No.
It doesn't have the taste.
No, it does not. The pepperoni is, the fennel is just too strong.
Now, are you when you say no, do you mean the pepperoni that you're saying no to, or are you saying no to the cheese? Because I took a bite with no pepperoni just to see what the cheese tasted like.
Yes to the cheese, no to the pepperoni.
All right, I'm going to try the pepperoni. Yeah, I agree. No to the pepperoni. When I make things like red beans and rice or black-eyed peas, I'll buy a plant-based sausage, cut it up, and pan fry it first, and then put it in.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried the field roast sausage. I can't remember what version, and I did not care for it. I like the Beyond Hot Italian sausage.
Yeah.
When I make beans and rice, that's what I use, and I like it. Even Dad likes it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you've made it once before. And yes, with the sausage, I liked it.
Yeah, if I got the right crust, I would do this pourable mozzarella cheese and then put some
A vegetable
mushrooms.
pizza or something.
Yeah, mushrooms. I like green olives. Not many people like green olives. Most people do black.
I prefer green olives too.
on my
Yeah.
pizza.
But yeah, so yes to the Mikodos horrible
Miyokos.
mozzarella cheese.
Miyoko.
No to the pepperoni. I will say that in my experience of switching to plant-based diet, meat specifically was not one of the things that I missed. The dish, yes, like I said, with the shepherd's pie, I'd been wanting to make one. Yeah, sometimes just that thing. But now the dairy, yes, that was the hard thing for me to give
Everybody
up.
says that. And
Dairy has been the hardest. And eggs.
eggs.
Because there's just so many things, again, with the dish, having breakfast foods, having omelets, having quiches. I'm a big egg person. So giving up the eggs and the dairy have been the most challenging, not necessarily the meat.
And that is a stumbling block for many people, especially the cheese. But I do think this Miyoko would give you a very cheese pizza-like alternative. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
It's a winner. We have a few desserts that we're trying today. First of all, we made an oatmeal raisin cookie. And instead of egg, we used aquafaba. Had you heard of aquafaba before this?
I had never heard of it, no.
Aquafaba is the liquid that you get in a can of chickpeas. So normally you pour that down the drain, rinse the chickpeas, and cook the chickpeas. But the chickpea liquid in the can makes a really good egg substitute. You can whip it up like a meringue. You can use it in baking. It's a really incredible substance. This is the first time I've actually tried using it in anything. I have had a peanut butter cookie. Thank you, Dr. Grady. I believe his wife made it and he brought it to work. That was quite good. I would actually not have known that it was vegan at all. So we're trying it in this oatmeal raisin cookie. And then we have two types of dairy-free vegan ice cream. One is the Ben & Jerry's dairy-free fish food. And Ben & Jerry's uses almond milk and coconut oil to make their ice cream. And then the other ice cream we have is Talenti dairy-free chocolate fudge gelato.
Now, when I was making the cookies, the only thing that was different was the aquafaba. Everything else was brown sugar, white sugar.
Well, we use vegan butter.
Yes.
We didn't use animal-based butter.
True. Yes, you're right. And on the subject of vegan butter, I must make a formal apology to my brother and sister-in-law, who for years were vegan and asked me to use vegan butter one time in a recipe, and I refused, saying I would never have vegan butter in my house. I apologize. Now all I have is vegan butter in my house. So, yeah, I'm sorry, Robert and Christina. Love you. You were right. Okay. Anyway, got that over with, off my conscience.
Okay.
Now, on to fish food. I'm not a fan of chunky things in my ice cream, but it is a very good, rich chocolate flavor, melting like a gelato, not necessarily like a full-fat ice cream, but it's good.
So I'm going to taste the cookie. So the cookie dough, we said, looked wetter, but it was less of a doughy texture. And then the cookies did spread a lot. They didn't puff up. They're more flat.
Yeah, they're oatmeal. Oatmeal cookies do spread a lot.
But they're good. I like them. They have a great flavor. They taste like oatmeal raisin cookies, which is kind of my favorite cookie. That's why I picked it over chocolate chip.
I like to make a oatmeal chocolate chip cookie. Okay, the Talenti. It is very good.
So chocolatey.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. Like, I like it better than chocolate ice cream.
That would definitely satisfy my late night cravings for chocolate. Yeah, your bedtime sweet tooth.
So plant-based desserts for the win. Yay! Well, thank you for joining me today. I had so much fun working in the kitchen with you,
Yes.
creating things.
Great Sisters Day.
Taste testing. Now we're going to invite the family over because we have a lot of leftovers.
Yes.
And let them try it all and see what they have to say.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, Catherine, you're here from college visiting.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So we have a college student here to try the pizza.
Oh, yes.
Oh, well, now if it passes the college student test, we know it's good.
Notoriously high standards, those college students.
Right.
So,
Okay, maybe not. Never mind.
Okay.
All right, college kid, let's try the pizza.
Okie dokie. I'm having a bite with pepperoni on it. It tastes fine. It tastes, not any better or worse than like a normal frozen pizza.
Hey, Dad, thanks for coming over and joining us for dinner.
Oh, thanks for inviting me.
So what do you think about that vegan pizza?
The cheese is good. I like the sauce, and let me double check the pepperoni.
Try the pepperoni.
A little funny texture.
I thought it was spongy.
Not objectionable, but
Okay.
not super duper.
So, Dad,
Yes,
you are trying the Beyond Burger.
I am. I have one burger bun. On half of it, I have the Beyond Burger, and on the other half, I have the Impossible Burger.
Oh, okay. So you've
So I
got
have
2 in 1.
2 in 1, and I tested. Let me get another bite of the Impossible. I think I like the Beyond better.
Why?
Well, the texture is a little more realistic, quote unquote. The Impossible has a little bit of a manufactured flavor, I guess. They're both suitable, but I prefer the Beyond.
And I will try the shepherd's pie. Try a bite with mostly just the meat. Honestly, what is contributing to the dish, the meat, and the shepherd's pie is just texture. I can't really identify a flavor against all the other ingredients. If I had to assign a flavor to it, I would say meatball, which is classically a meat. Yes. Historically. So
Duh.
There you go.
good. That ball of meat tastes like that a little bit.
Now, the potatoes are potatoes, or are they fake potatoes?
They are real vegan potatoes.
They're
Not a potato like
they're
substance.
vegan potatoes as opposed to regular potatoes.
They were grass-fed.
Ooh.
Free range.
Mm.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Eat Your Greens with Dr. Black. Parenting is a journey that comes with many challenges, but also much joy. I hope this podcast empowers you to set your family on the path to lifelong health. If you enjoyed this podcast, please hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. For more helpful information about plant-based nutrition for families and children, check out the show website, www.eatgreenswithdrblack.com. And don't forget to eat your greens.